Is going to be made around 10 gym mistakes that people commonly make, whether it's using the weights or just position of the weights, how you do reps, how you do sets, or just genuine workouts and common trends that you will see within the gym. Obviously, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments whether you've seen something like this as well, or if you're one of them people that have actually done this as well. In most cases, you're probably one of the people that have done it. I myself am included as well. So let's get into the video slowly. So the first mistake that people generally make when it comes to working out is focusing primarily on the front delts. Now these are front shoulders. Usually this is within almost every chest workout where these delts are going to be, the front delts are going to be worked on most. But what's most ignored is the rear delts and usually the mid delts as well. So that's commonly an issue. People should focus more on that. So when people are focusing on shoulders, let's say if it's a shoulder day, they should focus more on the rear delts more than the front, because usually within the front that will be covered within the chest day or even just an arms one as well, because some arm workouts do require you to have good well-developed front delts over rear delts, which can be commonly ignored. A good time to implement rear delts as well is usually within back workouts. For example, doing shrugs or just doing side lateral raises and stuff like that. They really do help target the rear delts majorly, and that's the first major mistake that people make. Now, as for the second one is using the Bosu balls. Now, Bosu balls is usually used for stability. Commonly with athletes, people that are into sports, but if you're trying to build muscle, it's actually arguably completely useless, as in you don't really need it. The main thing that it does is it makes you focus more on stability than actual power output and expenditure. You can never actually maximize the amount of reps and sets that you can actually do using the Bosu balls, because you have to spend more time and energy focused on stability and making sure that you're balanced. Like, let's say if you were to squat using the Bosu ball, you'd have to focus on stability instead of actual full power if you're on a flat floor. That's one of the major mistakes I've commonly seen. And when I see people doing that and trying to work out, you kind of do look a bit silly. Obviously, if you're an athlete, you're trying to focus more on stability or isolating different types of stability on different legs or different arms, different just whatever you're doing. Then it's a completely different scenario, a completely different metric, and it's justifiable for you to use. Other than that, I don't see any other benefit. So yeah. Now onto the third benefit. For the third mistake that people commonly make is usually with the reverse grip tricep press. So this is a very big mistake because there's no big difference between the two, and if anything, you just get a weaker grip when you do the reverse grip. Obviously, because the placement of your hands and your thumbs is just in a different position, it's a bit more awkward as well. Some people do prefer it, but it's usually just for show. They add it in different workouts. You can have it as a different variation for different things, but it generally serves no other purpose than just something, just a different change to give me a different mood for fitness and nothing. But I generally don't feel, even from my personal experience, that you gain the max amount of weight, because you have to focus more on grip, and then you tend to lose grip as you go heavier down the weights. That's why I think it's completely useless, completely redundant, in all honesty. It's just good to look at, long story short. Now the fourth other mistake that people tend to make is usually workouts that require elbow extensions. So a good example of this will be dumbbell bench press. Now instead of angling it, okay, I'm not going to abbreviate here, but instead of angling it at a 90-degree angle, that puts a lot of stress on your shoulders, which may create long-term problems and long-term issues where you have extra stress in your shoulder joints, where you aren't able to maximize as much, and you're more likely to get injured because of that. It's better to leave it at a 75-degree angle, where you're less likely to get injured, you're more likely to get the reps and sets. There's less chance of the dumbbell going out of control because it's more tight, more controlled, instead of it actually being here, where there's a lot more stress on the shoulders. So having it here is much better. You can target the chest more as well. So yeah, now onto the fifth one. The fifth one, and this might be one of the greatest ones, especially for powerlifters as well, is having an excessive spar, someone that helps you from the beginning of the set to the end of the set when it comes to, like, let's say the major ones like dumbbell bench press, or even just bench press in general, or squats or deadlifts. Okay, not deadlifts, but squats. The reason why this can be very excessive is because you can't actually track your progress. You don't know how much you're actually doing, how much effort you're actually putting in and how much support you're actually getting from the spot. So that's why it's usually not the best to do that. It's always good to have a spot there, only when you're your last rep or you're nearly finishing off, or you actually need help, like there's a safety issue, like you can't actually fully finish off the rep, then that's when it would make sense to actually get a spot there. Obviously, I don't think people should overuse it, because like I said, you can't really track progress. Just people can tend to make mistakes, you're more likely to get injured as well. The sixth issue now that I would see in the gym is people usually using dumbbells in front of the weight rack. Obviously the mirror is there, but you gotta be self-aware about who else is around you. When you're lifting dumbbells in front of the weight rack, no one else can actually intervene and actually collect dumbbells where you are. So it's always best to actually give space, make sure that other people can actually have the opportunity to collect the dumbbells there. Yeah, just be friendly, be kind, and just be a bit more aware about your surroundings. Now, the seventh mistake that people tend to make is usually with overhead pull-downs. This is a very good workout in general. Having an overhead is just not really necessary because you're working on the same muscle parts as you would with the normal lat pull-down. But you just put your arms in an awkward position. If you don't do it right, you can actually get injured as well. I've been a victim of this myself when I made a mistake in the beginning stages, obviously, where I used to do overhead quite a bit. I used to prefer it just because I thought, because it was more awkward, I'll get more out of it. It was a silly assumption to me, hence why it became an injury. That's why I highly advise people to actually be careful. Don't even bother trying to go overhead. It's just a simple mistake not to make. Now, there are other lat pull-down variations that you can have, which is the wide grip pull-down, the tight grip pull-down, also the chin one, where you're also pulling down on the underarm like this. Those are much better variations to have instead of the overhead, mainly because the overhead just doesn't really serve any extra purpose than just putting your arms in an awkward position. And whereas the other variations target different parts of the muscle groups when it comes to the back. Depending on which muscle group you want to target from the back, I definitely recommend different variations for that. Yeah, another mistake that people tend to make is using plates, using barbell plates for workouts instead of actual dumbbells. Now, this can be good in terms of aesthetics and if you want to just switch up your workouts a bit. For beginners and people that are actually just getting back into the gym or new to the gym, it really is better for you to stick to dumbbells. It doesn't really make sense for you to go to that unless you genuinely gotten bored of it or you have nothing else at home to use them. It's very understandable. There's less grip when it comes to the barbells because they weren't built for grip, they were built for them to be able to put on the bars. Just stick to the dumbbells, stick to what you know as well, and you can actually get more workouts with the dumbbells than you can with the straight up plates. Yeah, there's a few workouts that are preferred for barbell, like the flat bench barbell chest press. I would say it's a plate chest press. That one's good because it targets the inner chest, but there's obviously not that many other variations where it can be applied. I'll just say for new beginners, just don't use that, just stick to dumbbells. Now, as for the ninth one, this is one that I've seen very, very personally, which is ego lifting. Now, ego lifting is something that I think everyone will be a victim of at some point. This is where you're usually not getting the best amount of reps, not getting the best amount of sets within each workout, but you're just making sure you want to lift the weight. It can be done usually within bench press. To be fair, it can be done within any workout. But you always got to make sure that your form's correct and that you're lifting the right amount of weight. The reason why this can be bad as well is because you're more prone to injury. You're not going to get the most out of each workout because you're not actually getting in the squeeze and actually contracting the muscles well enough for you to promote muscle growth, which can be a serious issue in the short term and long term because more time's wasted actually just trying to ego lift instead of actually trying to get the muscle growth that you actually came there for. That's why I'd highly recommend maybe start off with a personal trainer or just be very, very humble about yourself and actually be realistic and honest with yourself, which also comes in the gym as well. There's no reason for you to lift excessive weight that you know you can't control and you know you can't do a certain amount of reps with. The minimum amount of reps I would recommend someone to do, unless it's powerlifting specifically, if you're purely building on power, you'll do at least 6 reps. Any less, you're tending towards aiming towards power. I definitely suggest if you're looking to build muscle, minimum 6. So yeah. The last and major one, which I've seen quite a few times, but I won't say that often, but I think it's arguably one of the silliest ones I've ever seen. Using the dumbbell press, but having your arm to support it. This is just like, let's say the dumbbell, I'll give you a good example now. Let's say if a dumbbell was here and trying to do the curl like this, there's no reason for why this arm should be supporting you. If this is too heavy, you should just reduce the weight, actually get the reps and sets. It should be a straight curl without any support from the other arm. Back straight, form correct, and make sure you squeeze it as well. Obviously when it comes to this as well, I've seen it quite often in the gym, and that's also part of ego lifting as well. Trying to support your arm. You're not really going to get the best outcome, and you're not really going to be able to tell how much you can actually lift from doing it. Stick to one arm. It's good for isolation. It's good to actually help target the muscle group as well. That's going to be the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay bolo, stay fresh. Let me know in the comments what you actually thought was probably the most common mistakes that people make, or if you've been a victim of one of those as well. Yeah, stay in bolo. See you soon. The 7th. Cancel.